The Biden White House is proclaiming a new prerogative to enable presidents to suppress any evidence of their unfitness for office. The battle over 5 hours of audio tapes could settle President Biden's fate or pave the way for presidential cover-ups for decades to come. In August 2022, Biden's FBI launched a massive, heavily publicized raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago headquarters to seize classified documents that the Biden administration said Trump possessed illegally. After classified documents were also discovered in President Biden's houses and his office and a few other places, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Special Counsel Robert Hur to investigate President Biden. Hur interviewed President Biden last October and released a report in January stating that the president had knowingly violated federal law. But Hur recommended no prosecution because jurors would see Biden as a, quote, elderly man with a poor memory. The White House was furious. It vehemently attacked Hur for that statement, but it refused to disclose the audio files of the 5 hours of interviews. 3 months ago, the White House official spokesman for oversight and obstruction, Ian Baghdad Bob Sams, boasted that Biden had never asserted executive privilege during the Hur investigation because Biden was transparent and he had nothing to hide, except for his mumbling and maundering. Last month, the Justice Department claimed that disclosing those audio tapes would be a clearly unwarranted invasion of President Biden's personal privacy. But Biden was not conscripted into the Oval Office, and no one forced him to illegally retain those classified documents scattered over sites in multiple states. Congressional Republicans threatened to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt for refusing to disclose those audio tapes. On Thursday, the White House formally invoked executive privilege to block access to those tapes. Biden is playing the get out of democracy free card. Executive privilege means the White House can tell Congress to take a long walk on a short pier. It's a tactic to enable lawyers to drag out a case so that disclosure is too late to have any positive impact. According to the Biden White House, bad motives by Republicans justify this cover-up. The White House counsel, Ed Siskel, claimed that the GOP had no legitimate need for audio recordings, as if everybody is obliged to take the White House word that Joe Biden is the smartest man in Washington. The White House counsel asserted that if Republicans received the audio files, they would, quote, chop them up, distort them, and use them for partisan political purposes and manipulate them for potential gain, which would be inappropriate. Chopped? Is Biden's brain trust going to propose revising the First Amendment to prohibit any editing of politicians' statements? Does the White House counsel believe that the Biden reelection campaign deserves a veto power over any statement or editing of a Biden statement? People don't realize how long politicians can blather. God, they need editors. I mean, same with some videos. This is a controversy that exposes Washingtonians' self-worship. On Thursday, when a reporter asked Attorney General Garland why he asked President Biden to declare executive privilege, Garland pompously responded, "The Justice Department is a fundamental institution of our democracy. I will protect this building and its people." So Garland's oath of office, it didn't, it mentioned the Constitution. It didn't say anything about protecting a building at 950 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is the address of the Justice Department. But I assume that Garland's aides were very keen with his proposal. For the White House, this issue is not one of whether Biden is capable of fulfilling the heavy duties of his job. Instead, the issue is that the American people are unfit to judge the president's verbal pratfalls and incoherence. Instead of a bizarre claim of executive privilege, the White House should have invoked the Americans with Disabilities Act and sued Trump voters for being prejudiced against the mentally handicapped. It would be far more honest for Team Biden to openly propose to repeal the 25th Amendment, which includes provisions for removing a president who's no longer able to perform his duties. But that kind of honesty is very rare in Washington these days. Flashback 50 years, and it was a controversy over audio tapes that led to the end of the Nixon presidency. In the Watergate investigation, Senator Howard Baker summarized the issue. What did the president know and when did he know it? Nixon's fate was settled when those Oval Office tapes came out. In the current scandal, the issue, what did President Biden not know and which officials are hiding Biden's faltering mind? Are Americans heading for another Alice in Wonderland election? Votes first, evidence later? Perhaps the Biden-Hur tapes will become the 2024 equivalent of the cover-up of Hunter Biden's laptop in the 2020 election. Will there be any number on cynics' bingo card which is not covered by Election Day?